Trump's campaign had promised to offer an inclusive and uplifting primetime message, hoping to broaden his appeal beyond his hardcore base by featuring the next generation of party stars, including two Republicans of color, Tim Scott and former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley. Yet any sense of optimism was largely overshadowed by the most speaker's dire warnings that Democrat Joe Biden would destroy America, allowing communities to be overrun by violence. Trump, who was not scheduled to deliver his keynote convention address until later in the week, made multiple public appearances throughout the first day of the four-day convention. And while the evening programming was carefully scripted, Trump was not. The GOP convention marks a crucial moment for Trump, a first-term Republican president tasked with reshaping a campaign he's losing by all accounts, at least for now. A deep sense of pessimism has settled over the electorate 10 weeks before Election Day. Just 23% of Americans think the country is heading in the right direction, according to a new poll from the Associated Press NRC Center for Public Affairs Research. Trump and his supporters on Monday night touted his response to the pandemic while standing alongside frontline workers in the White House, although he glossed over the mounting death toll, the most in the world, and his administration's struggle to control the disease. Organizers also repeatedly sought to cast Trump as an empathetic figure, borrowing a page from Democrats' convention playbook a week ago that effectively highlighted Biden's personal connection to voters. The evening program highlighted the tensions within Trump's Republican Party, his harsh attacks against Democrats who are trying to expand mail voting, and demonstrators protesting deaths in police custody, for example, often delight his diehard loyalists. Yet the party pointed to a somewhat more diverse convention lineup with a more inclusive message designed to expand Trump's political coalition beyond his white working-class base. The program also featured Mark and Patricia McCloskey, the St. Louis couple arrested after pointing guns at Black Lives Matter protesters marching past their home. Some of the planned remarks for the evening program were pre-recorded, while others were to be delivered live from a Washington auditorium. The fact that the Republicans gathered at all stood in contrast to the Democrats, who held an all-virtual convention last week. The Democratic programming included a well-received roll call video montage featuring diverse officials from across the nation. The Republicans spoke from the ballroom in Charlotte and were overwhelmingly white. The president has sought to minimize the toll of the coronavirus pandemic, and he barely addressed it on Monday, but its impact was plainly evident at the Charlotte Convention Center, where just 336 delegates gathered instead of the thousands once expected to converge on the city for a week-long extravaganza. Attendees sat at well-spaced tables at first, and masks were mandatory. Trump also banned the state's Democratic governor for restrictions put in place to try to prevent the spread of the virus, which has killed more than 175,000 people in the country and infected millions. Republicans will spend the week trying to convince the American people that the president deserves a second term. Aides want the convention to recast the story of Trump's presidency and present the election as a choice between his vision for America's future and the one presented by Biden. Democrats were content to let Trump's unfiltered message drive the day. While he campaigned aggressively across the country throughout last week's Democratic convention, Biden made no public appearance on Monday.